Alright, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another Brutally Honest PUBG video. In this video we're going to be breaking down the PUBG Nations Cup of 2022, hosted in Thailand. Huge event, 500k on the line plus way more in rev share, things like that. So we're just going to jump in and break it down. It's going to be a quick tier list, just kind of ranking the teams where I think they're going to kind of place, and a couple of quick notes based on each team, maybe a player or two, things like that. So here we go. All right, now jumping into it, I think the obvious favorite for everybody here is going to be China. China number one. I think it goes without saying, China is one of the most talented rosters here. I think they are the most talented roster mechanically, 100%. Now you match that with their advantages. Yes, I said advantages, PUBG. Believe it or not, they're advantages. They are going to be playing in China still at basically a private PC cafe. Unlimited playtime whenever they want, all that bullshit. Meanwhile, every other player that's in Thailand doesn't get to play until basically the day before the games, and they basically just get to go through rehearsals, which is nothing. Nothing really happens. They don't get to actually play much. So I think China has every advantage. There's going to be hot, warm, comfy at home, no crowd, no screaming fans, no pressure, just vibing out in a dark room with some ref who's probably playing fucking Raid Shadow Legends or some bullshit on his phone, just vibing out. I think China has every advantage going into the event, and they should win it. Now let's get into the teams that are actually competing on a fair playing field. My favorite to do well outside of China is going to be Australia. I think Australia is going to be an insanely nuts roster. Immense talent from the boys. Tiggleton, Luke, Flood, Monty. Monty gets a huge chance to prove himself. Luke steps up to start calling. He's been co-IGLing for like most of his career. Really smart kid, great ideas, very vocal, can take charge of situations if he needs to. This is going to be a huge event for him, and I hope he does really well with it. And I think he will, especially with the talent around him. I think they're set up with all the voices and information givers of Tig and Luke and everything to do, or Tig and Flood, to feed that information to Luke and give him ideas. It's going to work really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play. And I think they're going to do amazing. I hope they win it and beat China. But let's jump into the third place team. I think it's going to be Korea. I think people are really sleeping on Korea. This event, before I jump into that, people are going to be like, oh, where's the brutal honesty, blah, 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 blah. These are the good teams, right? There's not a lot to say bad about the good teams other than China having advantages because it's bullshit. So just relax a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We'll get there. So just relax. You know what I mean? Germany, Indonesia, we'll get there. We'll get there. All right, but Korea I think has been slept on a lot. I think they have a lot of callers, so that's why people are sleeping on them, saying there's too many voices. But you can't sleep on Korea. Korea is one of the best regions in the game for a reason. And listen, I just like them to do well. I like the experience they have. I like everything they've got going. I'm hoping to see Korea pop off here. Now most people can be like, what the fuck? You didn't say anything about the U.S. U.S. should be third for you, or first, or second, blah, blah, blah. Listen. Something about the U.S. for me, I don't know if I'm just, that envy or just pure jealousy that I wish I was playing for the U.S. team instead of them. But, listen, they're not in my top three, all right? It is what it is. You know what I mean? Cry about it. That being said, I like the U.S. team a lot of potential. Kick, H-Win, Shrimzy, Sharp, nuts roster, especially on paper. I think this team, if they don't get contested at all and get their loot spots, center map for free, easiest rotations in the game. You just drive down roads basically to the best spots every fucking circle. I think the rotations will be fine. I think a lot of their gameplay and results are going to end up being on Kick. Kick is going to be their new Tig, basically. I think Kick's their new Tiggleton mixed with Mime. Like, Mime gives a lot of input. Tig's fucking hard firepower, star power. Kick has to absorb that and become that role because they're basically the Sonics now. It's H-Win and Shrimzy still. Gunner's, Gunner's coaching, but it's still going to be like core Sonics type gameplay. So I think this gameplay kind of, or a lot of the results are going to rely on Kick and how he performs. Obviously, the other boys all have to do their part too. But Kick popping off is what puts them from a top 3 team to they just got 7th. So hopefully, I think Kick has the ability. I think he can do it. Hopefully, he pops off and has a great event because, you know, everybody loves them some Kickstart. Sort of, you know what I mean? Sort of. Let's just jump past to the next one. The things start getting a little more dicey and kind of evened out when you keep going from here. My next up is going to be Thailand. Now this could drop rapidly. Like I would put them 12th or below if they keep their hot drops that they have planned. But we'll see. Other than the hot drops, say they get normal drops and they're just looting wherever the fuck. I think Thailand has a good chance to do really well. They're stacked really well mechanically. Metagame's kind of meh, but mechanically they're pretty damn stacked. And then they have home field advantage. You know, you don't have to travel, no flights. They're basically playing like China, but you know, without being China. And they still have to go stay in a hotel for like the duration of the event, like everybody else. So, I like them in the top 7. 5th, 6th is something I could definitely see happening. Jumping on to the next one, we're gonna go Team UK. The UK is similar to the US for me. Very stacked roster mechanically, very talented. The only person who hasn't been like overly consistent as of late is Michael. He hasn't really been in those big events like the rest of those boys have. But I think he'll fit in pretty well, and they'll do pretty decent. I could see them. Now I have them basically here as 6th, but I could see them being anywhere from 6th to 10th pretty easily. But I've got high hopes for them. I think Vard and Fex and T-Bone, like I think the experience of them playing recently in all their big events, I think they'll do pretty well. And for the last one in this 4th through 7th, coming in at 7th, I'm going to put Brazil. Now this is probably a surprise. People kind of sleeping on Brazil. But I really like the roster. Sparking's going to be IGLing. I know there's been some controversy with 22 and Balkan being a piece of shit cheater and all that, but Haven's playing from 22. He's pretty good mechanically. He's not Balkan good, but you know who the fuck is. But I've got high hopes for this team, and the only question mark is Sparking IGLing. I'm not really sure how well it's going to go, but I like Sparking as a kid. He's really open to learning and grinding, so hopefully they do. Hopefully they outperform most people's expectations. I could easily see them, falling pretty hard from what my tier list has them, but again, high hopes, rooting for them. So my tier list, go fuck yourself. All right, 8th through 12th. This one kind of starts to get a little more rough here, as these teams kind of start to fizzle out a little bit. There's some big ones still in here. Canada, Winland, whatever it is, but we'll get to those. Right at 8th for me is going to be Winland. Winland, Finland. Yeah, I mean, this team is probably one of the more stacked teams on paper that is up on here. Like, if you're just doing talent put on paper and thrown at a board, I think they're probably top 5 easy. But their edge playstyle worries me a lot. Like, they're playing basically kind of how Ents plays. And that's feast or famine, in my opinion. Like it sets yourself up for a lot of consistency sometimes, but in lobbies that are so stacked, kind of like this, it's feast or famine hardcore. Now they could shoot up to top 3 because of how their feast or famine playstyle goes, or they could be bottom 4 for most of the event. And I'm just afraid of the randomness of some of these teams that they're going to get hard inted. So that playstyle worries me a bit. Again, so they could pop off, but I don't see it being there completely for them. Hopefully I'm wrong, because a lot of those guys are really good and they're good guys, but I see their meta gameplay biting them in the ass in the long run, probably. All right, moving on, we have. I'm gonna go with Canada. Team Canada. It's another one of those. It's rough. It's kind of the opposite of Winland, right? Like on paper, Winland is fucking hugely stacked. On paper, Canada, honestly, mechanically speaking, not a great team. Not the best team, mechanically speaking. You have the roster's Adam, Finna, Shinboy, and Keenan. Now you go through all those players. The only one arguably the best mechanically, even on their team, is Shinboy. And Shinboy is nuts. Shinboy is going to be the best mechanical player on Team Canada without a doubt. The rest of the boys are kind of going to be mid-pack to lower side of the mechanical players in the lobby, um, which is rough. So again, opposite of Winland, they're going to be playing probably more, school apps, power grid, stuff like that. They're going to be playing way more center, way faster, kind of playing for circles and things like that. So yeah, I've got high hopes because they're a very smart group of guys. These guys aren't playing to beat you in a 4v4. These guys are going to be playing to beat you with their brains, how they're moving around the map, different angles, pinching you. Smart PUBG is what you're looking for from Canada, and I've got high hopes that they do way better than I have them in the tier list. But the randomness of this lobby, again, just like Winland's edge playstyle, I feel like late game edgeness or mid game edgeness is going to come out. If Canada doesn't get shifts, it's really going to fuck them. They're going to be feast or famine based on nice center shifts, where Winland's going to be feast or famine based on what's their edge, can they play into it, can they spread on this edge. Canada's going to be, can we sit in this fucking compound and maybe split to this compound 2-2 and hope we get circles. So we'll see, but I don't see Canada unless they get hard gifted. I don't see them placing top 5 in the event. All right, moving on to the 10th spot. I'm sorry, making this up as I go for the most part, so work with me here a little bit. This is where it gets hard. I'm gonna do Chinese Taipei. This is where all the teams get harder because they're much worse on the top half of the lobby, in my opinion. I like Chinese Taipei. They've got the former Gex players, Savior and Yan Li. And the main problem again with them is their metagame. They're in between Canada and Winland. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing most of the time. Their metagame is lacking far more than any other team or any other like regions. Basically, if you're Chinese Taipei or one of the regions below them, other than maybe Turkey, like your metagame is, and I guess Germany because you play in EU, they play in EU, but their metagame is just dog shit for the most part. But the fragging power of Yan Li and Savior and some of those Chinese Taipei players is really good. You can't sleep on them. And I've have high hopes for them to frag out, but I have zero hopes for them to be consistent. I don't see them being top 8 come the end of the event. This is kind of more of a hopeful like 10th, like 9th through like 12th is where they're going to realistically be. I don't really see them being top 8 unless they get some like insane shifts with some pop-off edge games with fucking Savior and Yan Li just dropping like fucking 8 kills each. But yeah, that's it for Chinese Taipei. Let's jump to the next. We're going to go with Turkey next. Turkey's an interesting one for me because if they had Code Marco, which is a fucking travesty that they don't, I think that would have them way higher. But the fact that somehow Code Marco doesn't go to Nations Cup for Turkey is wild to me. He's like the new Iro for me. Turkey without Code Marco is like, doesn't even make sense in my mind. It doesn't compute. Smash is nuts, and he's the other best player in Turkey, in my opinion. Again, I could be completely wrong. I'm not that in touch with the scene, but from an outside looking in, quick glances at the European events and stuff like that, Code Marco's your guy from Turkey. Like he is the face of Turkey for me at this point. So to not have him is a huge hit. It's like if Australia didn't have Tig going. You have to have Code Marco, and I think them not having that star power and that insane fragger, because there's a reason he's the face. He is insane. Yeah, they don't have him. They don't have insane star power. Smash is your best player. I just don't see them going too far with everything. Who knows? They might have that still DA type. Send it. Just fucking send it. We'll see. All right, and rounding out the top 12, we have Vietnam. Well, I guess you can see your bottom 4 now. We'll get there. Vietnam, it's kind of like, who do you put here almost? It's not like Vietnam's like leagues above these guys, but they are better than the bottom 4. It's just Vietnam isn't that notable player-wise. We've seen them at a bunch of like international events. They haven't done great. They do decent in APAC. It's usually the Unicorn Phoenix guys. I think they're Vietnamese. I could be wrong, so I apologize if I am. But yeah, Vietnam is just, they're better mechanically than the rest of the people in the bottom 4, but there's not much else. And I guess let's get start with the bottom 4. We have Japan, Argentina, Germany, and Indonesia. We'll start with Japan, obviously. Japan, Not awful, um, but just not great anymore. They've lost a lot of their notable players. A lot of people retired and moved on to different games. The scene in Japan is kind of dying out a bit. It's unfortunate. The best teams in Japan these days usually have like two Korean players and two Japanese players, so it's kind of unfortunate that the Japanese talent is definitely thinned. And then just moving on quick to Argentina, you have Sizzlin, who is one of the better South American players for sure, but I don't think he's enough to bring the rest of these boys up. Um, the rest of the roster doesn't have enough experience. They haven't had enough reps internationally. Their best experience in reps is against the Americas, and they don't do well usually. They just don't do that well. I know paying and a lot of things are issues for them, sure, but whatever it is, the metagame and the mechanics do show up, and they just aren't up to par with a lot of things. Especially at a level like this, where you're going against teams like China and Korea and just Finland and Australia. It's just they don't level up. They don't match up at all to teams like that, which is unfortunate. But hopefully they learn from like an event like this and improve, because it's really good experience for them. It's a good rep to get in. Now Germany. Germany is probably just a tad a bit above or the same as Argentina skill level wise, and just probably don't belong to be here. There's not enough German players. Um, to be honest, if you put a gun to my head right now, and have heard about which players are going, I couldn't name 3 players that are going. Okay, maybe I can name 3. I can name. I think it's Mika, Zocker, and Lyron. Oh God, is Lyron the Turkish one? I think it's Turkish. Fuck. He is Turkish. I just looked. I don't know the actual German players. I know it's Mika. I think it's Zocker. Micah, Mika, whatever the fuck. Um, whatever. If I don't know them, it doesn't mean they're not. Just because I don't know them doesn't mean they're bad, right? But nobody fucking knows them. Germany shouldn't have a spot. Other teams should have spots. Like there's just so many other, even sub-regions in Europe that should have a spot before Germany. But it's a political thing, I guess, right? Like the fan base of Germany is much bigger. So if you're German and you're watching, your team fucking sucks. I'm sorry. They shouldn't have a spot probably. Just be a fan of a different region. And the last one is Indonesia. Indonesia shouldn't have a spot. Even worse than Germany. It should be Russia, but politics of the whole situation, the Russia-Ukraine war, all that shit. Super unfortunate for the Russian players. In my opinion, the Russian team would be top 3. I think the Russian team would push out Korea easily, and the top 3 would be Oz, Russia, and China. Not in that order, but yeah, huge shame, because I know Batulins would have loved to compete and represent. But it is what it is. Indonesia is going to be fucking awful, I'm sure. Again, a team that I haven't really heard anything about ever. Just because I haven't heard doesn't mean they're trash, but they probably are trash. So yeah, the bottom 4 is pretty shit. I think it's a good chance you see this bottom 4 almost guaranteed in the bottom 8 for the entire event, other than like maybe the first few games. But after the second day, I think you'll see these bottom 4 and the bottom 8 guaranteed for the rest of the event. So that's that's my PNC rundown quick tier list. Hopefully you enjoyed. Again, I'm rooting for Australia to win. Hopefully Luke and the boys get a big dub. I'd love to see Luke lift a trophy. That'd be fucking awesome. Because clearly, the way we've been playing recently, he's not getting one unless we step it the fuck up, which, we're planning on. But obviously jealous reasons and envy. I don't want to see USA to win at all. I don't want to see Shrimsy and H1 lifting another trophy. I know that makes no sense, because if Oz wins, then Tig would be lifting a trophy, but it's just different. You know what I mean? The jealousy inside of me just can't see USA win. Sorry, Gunner. But, I'm Australian for the next week. Crikey, cunt. Yeah, and then I'd love to see Canada like just fucking pop off. I know I just said they're not mechanically as good, but if they win, it'll be through good circles and just really smart gameplay. So I would love to see them win, and then I love the players on Brazil. I love their passion. I love the Brazilian fans. So I hope Sparky and the boys really pop the fuck off. And other than that, that's about it, honestly. China has a huge advantage. Should win the event. If they don't, they're fucking trolling and trash. Um, Enjoy the event, guys. I'll probably be watching on Twitch. I'll probably do a little watch party. So thanks for watching the video. Hopefully catch you in the stream. See you guys.